This is Viterbi Voices.
Coming to you from the University of Southern California, Viterbi School of Engineering.
We're here to give you the inside scoop on research, classes, student life, and so much more.
All of these shared by students, faculty, alumni, and other members of the USC community.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Viterbi Voices. As usual, I am your host, one of your hosts. My name is Paul Ledesma, Executive Director of Undergraduate Admission here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering.
Hey guys, I'm your other co-host. My name is Maya. I'm a current senior studying Industrial and Systems Engineering here at Viterbi.
Maya, I feel like it's the third week in a row I'm going to tell you I'm like super grumpy again.
Oh.
It's just, well, it's the same. It's like, this is the third week in a row I've had the same schedule for 3 weeks, and it's just been non-stop. And again, we're recording at 4:30 on Friday because it was the only time I was available. So it's like, we've also recorded it at exactly like the pinnacle of me just saying, I am done. But so happy to be here. Oh, really excited.
Is there a light at the end of the tunnel at least? Like in a couple weeks, you'll just like take a deep breath and be like, ah.
Yeah, in a couple weeks. So one light at the end of the tunnel or in the middle of the tunnel is on a Tuesday. This week we start our new admission counselor in the office. So Brooke Hyman will be starting with us, our new Associate Director of Undergraduate Admission. I'm sure I'll pull her onto the podcast sometime soon, but Brooke is fantastic. I can't wait, Maya, for you to be able to meet her and for everyone else to be able to meet her. She actually used to work at the Viterbi School almost 20 years ago. So I've known her since then. And just coincidence that she was in the right time at the right place looking for a new position. And she's been at a number of different colleges and universities since then. And I think she's going to be a great addition to the team. And I'm excited for all the prospective students to meet her. And we're like planning out her schedule next week. We have her booked like almost every minute of the day because it's like she's got to learn this, you got to learn that, you got to learn this, you got to learn that, because she's never worked in admission before. So this will be a bunch of new stuff for her. So that's a really exciting light for us to be back fully staffed is going to be a big deal.
Yes. Hopefully less meetings for you. And I'm very excited to meet her. I saw that we're all getting together. I get to meet her on Tuesday, which is her first day, which is so exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be tons of fun. And we're gonna get Chipotle for the meeting. So that'll be fun.
I was like, do I mention this on the podcast? Will everyone be jealous and hungry? But yeah,
chips and guac. Nothing makes a day better than chips and guac. So yeah.
You know what? I had chips and guac today for lunch, and it really
that was your whole lunch?
Did. It was not my whole lunch. I had chips and guac, and then I also had this like mole enchilada dish.
From where?
Oh gosh, I forget. It was some place in Culver City, and it was fantastic.
You were in Culver City today. Oh,
yes. Just hopping around.
Are you a big fan of mole?
I have only had it a couple times, so I'm hesitant to say a big fan, but I really liked it. It was a really great lunch.
And for everyone listening, the premier mole place in LA is just a short drive from campus. It's right up Normandy. So head down Jefferson to Normandy, make a right, go across the 10. You'll be near the Greek Orthodox Church up there. I think it's called St. Sophia's, which, by the way, great Greek food right there at Papa Christos. If you want Greek food, go to Papa Christos, which is near St. Sophia's, which is the Greek Orthodox Church of Los Angeles, very popular. And that's just a short 5-minute drive. You keep going, and there's a place called Guelaguetza, Guelaguetza. It's Oaxacan mole, authentic. And it's like the types of moles you can get, the dishes that you can get, it is insane. And it is the most amazing place to go. The only thing I will tell you is go in clothes that you don't plan on wearing somewhere else afterwards, because all of the smells are on you when you leave there. But it is an amazing treat. It is a hardcore, amazing LA destination that I think a lot of people still don't know about.
Okay, noted. Yeah, we're just dealing out all the positive recommendations here. I also think I have been to that place. I think my freshman year, one of my like computer science professor
Oh yeah.
said that like this is the place to be. He's like,
It
this is
is.
where I always take the TAs as like a thank you.
Oh,
So
it's a good one. And if you're gaining an appreciation from mole, then
mhm.
you might even have a deeper appreciation of it now.
Okay. Noted. Noted. Awesome.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Oh, we didn't
Um,
recap Super Bowl.
we didn't?
We did not or we talked about it a little
Is
bit.
that what week it is now? Are we still in
Week,
the Super Bowl
I think
week?
it's 1 week after the Super Bowl. Super Bowl was Sunday.
This is you're absolutely right. How was your Super Bowl? Did you end up doing something at your apartment?
Was good. I actually I was with my parents in San Diego, which was awesome because my dog was just sitting on my lap for the entire Super Bowl, which is
Oh,
just,
that's right, San Diego.
yeah, everything I could ever ask for. And it was good, though I was saying like originally I didn't really care. And then the more I watched it, the more I was like, oh my gosh, I love Brock Purdy. He is like
Oh,
so wholesome. This like seems like the stand-up guy. And then I like heard that he was picked last. And yeah, so I say I was a little disappointed when the Chiefs won at the end. But initially, yeah, I really didn't care who was playing.
it was a good game. I mean, it was a hard fought game. Like it was like defensive. Like I was like, wow, this they're just battling as the game was going on. Like some people were like, this is a boring game. Like this is a good game. Like they are
No.
just like hunkering down. It was a ton of fun.
Yep.
Um, yeah, that was fun. Brock Purdy has his own amazing story, which is really cool. My favorite thing about Brock Purdy, and no offense to Brock Purdy, is all the memes about how he like dresses like a suburban
The
young,
Coles.
yeah, that like just came from Kohl's silver sale. Like it's like
I love it. Honestly,
khakis and a quarter zip.
coming from the Midwest, I'm like, I know a couple of you, Brock Purdy, and it's just like it's nice to see. It's refreshing.
Yeah, it's cool. We had a killer time. This is not a criticism, and I don't think anyone I know listens to this podcast, but I think I was at a Super Bowl party where we had too many people, and I've never said that
Mm,
before. But it was, I mean, according to the Evite, it was 47 people were registered,
oh
were
gosh.
RSVP for this thing. I'm fairly certain we had more than that. And I think
Oh.
it was something like half of them were kids, which I I don't know the count, but basically a
Mm,
ton of people. And and this is where I realize I'm becoming such an old man where I'm like, I don't think the TV's calibrated correctly. Like, I think the
mm.
settings were wrong and I couldn't say anything. I'm like, something's going on with this TV. And I'm like, the audio is not great. I'm like, I don't think you have your sound system hooked up. I was like my wife was like, shut up. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Don't say. And then granted, it wasn't so much about that. It was just that there's so many people in the house. Either way, it was a super awesome time. Like, it
Mhm.
was like, so many people, 70-pound roast pig. It was insane. Like this thing took up almost a 6 foot long table. And
I'm just like wrapping my head around the fact now, 70 pounds.
yeah, I'm gonna talk at the same time that I can pull this up because I have a picture of it. 70-pound roast pig. And then everybody brought food as well.
Oh my God.
And it was like insane the amount of food that we had there. Let's see if I can pull this up so you can see this. Um, Look at that thing.
Oh, oh my
Look at that thing.
gosh.
Look at that.
Where
I mean, this
do
is great for a podcast, right? No one can see it, but you're
where
looking
do you
at like a
even
6 foot long pig,
where do you even get that?
right?
Like,
So supposedly this is like a Filipino place that does it in
uh-huh.
this like Filipino style, and so like all that crackling was really good. So
Okay.
he spent like the first hour carving this thing.
Yeah, no, it's
That's what we
yeah.
made. We make our bacon wrap little smokies. I think we talked about last
Uh-huh.
week. So there's McKay making bacon wrap little smokies, and she loved doing that. We ate those like nonstop. But
Hmm.
like, look at this house. Look at all of
Oh
these
my
people were
gosh.
in
Yeah,
there. This is
particularly like I'm impressed that there were so many kids because I know I can remember we'd watch the Super Bowl with just like my cousins normally when I was
yeah,
growing up, and that would be 6 kids, and like
yeah.
I could not
Well,
sit
this is
through.
one room. There's another room over there with people, and then the kitchen, and then there's more kids outside. Like again, no one can see what we're looking at here, but we were
Oh my
looking at
gosh.
like it looks like a club,
Describing.
doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, a club with like it's like an yeah, you have
But
to be
also,
above
that's what you get with middle-aged housewives when Usher was playing, it's like
Oh,
everyone was like, "We're gonna dance," and I'm like, "Okay."
Catnip. Catnip. No, I love Usher. Honestly, that was a really it was a really great performance. So I was hearing some people thought he was going to bring Justin Bieber out.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
So I was like a little looking forward to that. Didn't happen, but he still, yeah, crushed it.
My favorite meme that I saw after the Super Bowl was like, "Man, wasn't that halftime show great?" I just remember growing up, the halftime show was just a bunch of like, over the hill people, aged out artists that are probably way past their prime. And now I'm like, the last 5 years, I'm like totally digging it, and like, oh, now I'm getting it. Now I'm hearing myself.
Yeah, no, Usher's a man of the people, like
Sure.
even young people, I feel like. Though I did see a meme the other day, and it was like teenagers today asking you to put on oldies, and it's like Usher
Hmm.
and 2000s music.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw the same thing where it was like, I forget what the I forget what the number was, but it was basically um 30 years ago today is 1994. And in 1994, 30 years ago was, or I don't remember the number, but it was basically like in the 90s, whatever you were referring to then was like the 50s. And it's the same amount of difference.
Doesn't
And
feel
I'm
like
like,
it.
great. I'm old, which
Mm.
is an ongoing theme of this podcast. How old am I today? And I'm
Hmm.
old and I feel it. But hey, we're here. Anyways,
Hmm.
wow. Great tangent, great topic. But what are we here to listen to? Because I don't think any of our listeners care about any of this stuff. I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe they
Well,
do. Maybe they do. You tell us, listeners, do you want to hear more of this nonsense or do you want to hear more about the Viterbi School?
maybe I will say our podcast guest, the person of this podcast, would definitely care about the Super Bowl because I actually watched the Super Bowl with them. This is a very extra special episode
Okay.
where I am talking to my twin brother, Charlie.
Got it.
We're finally getting the Viterbi twins
Get in, Charlie.
episode.
Get in the twins episode. Hashtag twinning.
Hashtag twinning. Yes. And I think Charlie's a great person to have on the podcast because he's interested in a lot of things that I think are very topical and that I hear a lot of prospective students talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So he's very engaged in generative AI. So he's getting
Mm-hmm.
his master's in applied data science right now, has done a couple different projects with Gen AI, talks about like what he does in his class, how he found that. But ultimately, yeah, he's just kind of been around Viterbi, been involved in a bunch of different things. So I'm very excited for all of the listeners to understand more about what he's involved in and then also what that difference could be. Like we're both studying industrial and systems engineering, but you can see two very different paths within that same major.
Awesome. Well, let's get out of the way and hand it over to Charlie and twinning ISE at USC.
All right, welcome back to a very special episode of Viterbi Voices. I know I've probably mentioned or alluded to my brother many times. I have a twin brother at USC, and today is special because I finally have him on the podcast here with me today. So you guys get to learn a little bit more about my other half. I'm Maya, by the way. I know I introduced myself in the intro, but yeah, current senior studying industrial and systems engineering here at USC. And yeah, I'm just gonna let him take it away. So, twin brother, I'll have you introduce yourself, any like involvements you're in at USC, where you're from, what you study, etc.
All right. Yeah, thanks for having me, Maya. Heard a lot about the podcast. Glad to be here. Definitely glad to be here. Yeah, I'll start. I'm also a senior at USC, so me and Maya are twins. I actually came into USC as an environmental engineering major. Then kind of heard about some of the stuff Maya was doing at ISE. Ended up transferring into industrial systems engineering. Also senior right now, and then I'm also doing a progressive master's program in applied data science,
Yeah.
which is where most of my career interests align.
Nice. Yeah, I was just that interesting in freshman year. We were both at home in Wisconsin taking our classes, and you must have just really liked what I was talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Figured out chemistry wasn't for me. Like a lot more of the numbers and coding side of things. But yeah, that's one of the great things about USC. You kind of end up finding your way eventually. There's a lot of flexibility in terms of courses.
Hmm. Yeah, so let's start with our USC journey. Let's start before we were at USC. So I've actually had a lot of questions, particularly from out of state students, like how did you guys land on USC? So would you mind explaining like that thought process of like when you were deciding on colleges, like was USC on your radar? What were your thoughts about that?
Yeah. Um, Me personally, I definitely wanted to explore a little bit. I think coming from a smaller Midwest town, I had this yearning to really get out in the world, meet new people, get new experiences. I definitely feel like I've been able to do that at USC. I think that there's a great diversity of people. Everybody's doing something different. Everybody's at the same time really passionate about what they're doing. So it makes it an interesting melting pot,
Mhm.
kind of coming across even different countries. So that's definitely what factored into my decision making. Beautiful campus. Obviously, when I came
Hmm.
visited, it was stunning. And then just getting to talk to the people, met a bunch of very interesting people, people that I really could see myself not only studying next to, but becoming great friends with.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's how I answer the why I chose USC as well. Like at the end of the day, it's the people that are on that campus that you want to be friends with and that you want to be around. Yeah. I think I was remembering like one of the specific like student ambassadors. I think we were in the same room before scholarship interviews, and he was talking about like taking a class in ghost stories of
Mm,
folklore. Yeah, so like those specific cool like understanding that USC Viterbi students aren't just doing engineering, but like a bunch of other random things.
yeah,
Exciting.
one of my favorite classes I took here is an acting class. So even if you're an engineering student, you can explore that acting hobby of yours.
I forgot about that. What was that class again? Was that your GE
Yeah,
seminar?
yeah, it's a yeah an art seminar. So kind of with students all across the board, but learning about how to be an actor and their different methods was very interesting.
What did you learn about how to be an actor?
There's a lot of different methods. A lot of people take different approaches to, some people like really like to sit in their character, really like to become their character. Other people just more envision it as like puppeting. It's some interesting different approaches.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, so now you're at USC, you're taking cool classes. What's been your favorite class at USC?
Favorite class at USC. Um, yeah, well, I really like the unique classes that I've gotten to take outside of the major. But I'd say probably my favorite, as of right now, I'm in this class called Data Science Professional Practicum. And that's a master's class that I'm taking through my progressive degree program. And what we're doing right now is we're using generative AI to build out a TA chatbot. So essentially, a professor is like, hey, we have all these TAs that help out in my classes, help answer questions. But it would be great if we had some form of generative AI that could answer some of the more basic questions, could save some more energy, maybe save even a little bit of money down the road. So that's what we've been tasked with, and it's just kind of a fun experience getting to work with the new tools, getting to learn at the same time as building.
Wait, tell me more about this project. What are some of the tools?
Yeah. So looking into different ways to scrape data from the web, whether that be from old lecture videos, from textbooks, from discussion forums. How do we use that as a knowledge base for building a generative model? Basically, like how can we make it so that it retrieves the right information at the right time? But then you also have to give it some boundaries to like it can't answer every question, obviously. So how do we implement different rules within it to make it actually useful? So it turns into a whole business problem, which has been pretty cool getting to explore, even as a undergraduate, just starting my master's. It's kind of cool to have that level of autonomy.
Yeah, that's a super cool project. Actually, when I was in Lava Lab, which for those of you guys listening is a product incubator on campus, that was one of our ideas. We were like, wouldn't it be cool if there was some model that could work as a TA or just like you could train it off of the information for your class on a blackboard and then it could answer like very specific questions that like, I don't know, might be tedious for a teacher to ask. So is that kind of the thought process?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. It's just meant to be able to take away some of the extra time that TAs and teachers spend answering these tedious questions that can be found like within a syllabus or an assignment description that maybe somebody just overlooked. A lot of that stuff. It was actually first brought around, the professor that I have was approached by an outside company saying like, we would really appreciate this functionality. And he's like, well, I have a bunch of students that could probably take a good crack at it, and I'll tell you which ones perform the best.
Hmm.
So it's pretty cool being at USC. You get this exposure to companies that they've realized that these are some of the cream of the crop students, and they reach out to professors specifically asking for them to find ones that can perform what they want to perform.
Yeah, I really have enjoyed that project-based aspect of USC. Like I think in industrial and systems engineering, we see that a bit. And then it sounds like in your data science curriculum. But I think any of the majors in Viterbi, like you get this really nice mix of hands-on, but then also like you're learning the theory. But it's cool to see like how you're applying it. Like I know we have our senior design project, and yeah, the data science thing. Very cool. So what led you to doing a master's in data science? You went from environmental engineering to industrial and systems engineering to applied data science.
Right. Yeah, I kind of hopped around a little bit. Yeah, as I mentioned before, that's one of the great things about USC. So they really let you explore. You don't have to come in feeling bogged down by one major. You can come in and have the freedom to maybe hop around. And for me, the reason that I wanted to do my master's is that it just made the most sense value-wise and in terms of like what I was getting out of my education, also bang for my buck too.
Hmm.
Um, while I'm getting my master's, I'm able to still be on my presidential scholarship that I had coming into USC.
Hmm.
So it saves a lot of money. And at the same time, it saves time too. I'm only going to be graduating in an extra semester.
Hmm.
So all I need to do is take 4.5 years and have my bachelor's and master's. It was especially pertinent to me too, because I wanted to get into data science, and a lot of data science roles, you need a master's degree or some sort of upper level degree.
Hmm.
So it made sense for my career too.
Hmm. What do you like about data science? What drew you to it originally?
Yeah. Actually it started with an undergraduate research opportunity. So I don't know if you've talked about this in the past, but Viterbi has a program called Curve, which is Center for Undergraduate Research. I don't know what the V and the E stand
Exploration or
for.
something? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's basically designed to give undergraduates experience with undergraduate or with research with PhD students and professors and faculty. And it was a great experience. I worked with Professor Roger Gannam, and his laboratory was mostly focused on how can we apply data science to some civil engineering and environmental engineering tasks. This was when I was still in the environmental engineering department. So, what I did was I worked with data from the Deepwater Horizon oil spill off the Gulf of Mexico and developed a predictive model to basically predict based on different weather features, how much oil was going to be in a specific area at one time. And the purpose of that was so that it would help out disaster responders. How could they do a better job at positioning themselves to clean up the most oil possible? And that was really cool. Gave me a really cool experience for how I can use some of the things I'm learning about statistics and programming for a good cause. And just really helped me realize that that was something I'd be interested in.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember hearing about that project initially, and that was yeah a really cool opportunity. Also, great how USC facilitates like the research opportunities. I think that like talking to our friends from the Midwest who have been in schools versus here, I think that's something that I think feel like has stood out about our experience is like it's a lot more research like focused and like those opportunities are relatively not easy to come by, but they're available.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that I didn't know anything really coming into that research experience, but they still took the time to teach me and also allowed me to build out a pretty cool solution. Even in one of our other classes, ISE 410,
Hmm.
which is like a supply chain class. Our professor just randomly asked the other day if anybody would be interested in research using AI and generative AI for supply chain. And I was like, oh, that kind of fits pretty well within my skill set. So I'm now starting a new position in research there too. There's just a lot of opportunities out there.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember we were all hyping you up in class. She announced it. Very fun.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then I know, so you've done these research roles, and then you also have these personal projects that you're working on that I find interesting. So would you mind talking about like your personal projects and like how you've been teaching yourself more about Gen AI?
Yeah, for sure. I think that USC does a great job at educating its students into certain new technologies and new methods. But I think above all else, you should always be curious. So I'm always curious at testing out new technologies, new things that I read about. Uh, One of the things I'm really interested in music. So I got access to a data set from Spotify, and I was basically just messing around with the data a little bit, and I created a model to cluster the music into different groups based off of um, the factors like how fast it was going, what type of music it was. So I really enjoy just getting to work with whatever's out there. I've had a lot of experience in sports analytics as well. I actually interned for a sports analytics company, um, helping them create um, player archetypes using clustering as well. So just finding ways to stay involved outside of campus, just keep my skills sharp.
Hmm. Yeah. So as far as internships go, so you worked okay, go walk through. I can't remember
Yeah.
all the specifics.
Yeah, so I interned with this company called Pivot Analysis, which is the sports analytics company I mentioned. And that was really interesting. It's not always that you have to intern at like a big company or something. This was a smaller analytics firm, and I basically just emailed the CEO there and was like, "Hey, I see that you guys hire some interns. I think I would be really interested in working on some of your projects." Um, he ended up setting up a call with me and figured out that he was from well, he's from Menominee, Wisconsin, which is like 30 minutes away from where me and Maya grew up.
Hmm.
So we had that in common. Ended up basically taking on their whole project for um, player archetypes. So that was really cool. And then also I worked at Polaris Industries doing some data analytics stuff for them as well, with all their off-road vehicles.
Hmm. And do you want to talk about this upcoming summer
Oh
or?
yeah. I recently signed on with National Grid Renewables, doing machine learning engineering for them as an internship before I finish up my master's. Which is pretty cool. It's kind of was the goal coming into college was to
Mhm.
work within the environmental space. You know, I kind of hopped around a little bit after leaving environmental engineering, but I'm really happy that I found my way back to there, got the experience necessary to land that role.
Yeah, I feel like I use you as an example for this pretty often. But like the idea that you can be interested in an industry and a concept, but you don't have to necessarily study what might like sound on paper like it's the most related. Like environmental engineering. Like if you're engaged in the environment and you want to make a difference in that way, like you don't necessarily have to be an environmental engineer. Like you should enjoy the day-to-day tasks that you're doing. So like I feel like for you, you're more engaged in data and computers, and that's where your skill set lies. But you can still apply that to an industry where you can make a difference.
100%. Yeah, definitely. Agree with
Okay.
that.
Cool, cool. Trying to think. Okay, so I you've talked a lot about your academic involvements on campus, but like me knowing you, cheating a little bit, I know you're very involved in other things like athletics wise and just other clubs on campus. So do you mind giving the listeners a rundown of like all those other things that you do?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm a member of the club basketball team here at USC. Coming out of high school, I love basketball. I played all my life, was varsity. I even thought about playing D3 for a period of time. But I chose to kind of broaden my experiences, experience more things than just playing collegiate sports. And I found club basketball to be a perfect medium, where we still are incredibly competitive. We're top 10 in the country, filled with a bunch of guys that really love to play basketball, but they also wanted that deeper experience at USC. I'm currently the captain and one of the vice presidents of the club team, and get to do stuff like planning different philanthropy events and different social events with other clubs. And it's just a lot of fun. Aside from just the club sports, I was involved with the Sports Business Association as well. In their analytics department, I got to actually write an article about the Los Angeles Rams after they won the Super Bowl, look into some of the data there. So it's just really cool, all the different things you can kind of merge with your major as well as your interests at USC. And then apart from that, I was also very active within my own fraternity and Greek life at USC. I was the president for a year, and then I also served on the interfraternity council too. So those are great leadership experiences. And I would definitely encourage anybody to seek out some experiences where they can get some leadership.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Did you know that you wanted to do all of these things coming into college, or was it more of a like, I don't know, just kind of pick things up if it sounds interesting as you go?
No, yeah, I probably the only one that I think I knew that I wanted to do in some capacity was club basketball. But you see things sometimes and you're like, oh, that's pretty interesting. And I would just encourage you to say yes, at least at first. Check it out. You never know what's going to stick. You never know how many friends you're going to make, how much of an impact it might have on you.
Hmm.
I wasn't really sure about Greek life, and then I ended up meeting so many great people, and it just felt right.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a really good summary to just kind of like keep an open mind as you're going through it. Yeah, I know I like looking back as a freshman, I feel like I'd be very very interested in where I am now and all the different things that I've done. Like it's definitely not something that I would have predicted, but definitely
Yeah,
something that's exciting and that I'm very proud of.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Let's see. Do you have any advice to students? I guess particularly people who are interested in generative AI. So I know that like artificial intelligence and or just in general, computer science and data is a huge topic now. So I feel like a lot of people like are expressing interest, like people who are prospective students or even current students. Like I feel like that's just kind of where the world is trending. So do you have any pieces of advice for those sort of students?
Yeah, I'd say that USC is really embracing it, especially in my classes in data science. Um, I think every class has had some level of either natural language processing, which is working with like text data to generate it or to understand it, or using generative AI in general. I had another class where I used a ChatGPT plugin in order to generate different SQL queries for a database. So everybody's really open towards exploring it. All the professors are really interested in it. As I mentioned, even my ISE professor is interested in exploring generative AI in ISE. So it's kind of taken over. And I
Mhm.
think USC is incredibly poised to handle that well. I even saw when I was walking down a hall the other day, there's a new club for AI art, and it's all based off of like how can we create art using these different AI tools. So everybody from artists to programmers to engineers is embracing it, and I think it's a really great thing. I think that USC will continue to grow with that, and personally, I think that it's going to only continue to get bigger, and it's good that we're finding these outlets in order to use it properly, in order to really study it.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Great advice. Noted. Do you have any next piece, like any general pieces of advice for students who like maybe are out of state or could be kind of like you as a senior in high school, like trying to decide where to go to college, or to, like are incoming to USC? What's your advice for them?
Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, USC is pretty flexible in terms of exploring your own interests. So I'd say don't feel afraid by having to choose one specific thing. You're not just that one specific thing. You have so many
Mhm.
opportunities to expand beyond that.
Engineering plus.
Yeah, engineering plus. And then uh, I'd say just don't be afraid to say yes to a lot of different things. I've done a lot of different things throughout college, all of which have been great experiences. Um, some of which I'm not currently involved in environmental engineering. But when I was in that, I said yes to a lot of stuff and I met a lot of cool people, learned a lot of things. So
Mhm.
I'd say just embrace that aspect of meeting people, of learning new things. Because ultimately, that's what we're here for. You know, it's just to learn new things, not just about the world, not just about engineering, but about ourselves. So make sure you take that mindset.
Great piece of advice. Okay. One or two last questions. What is it like going to school with your twin sister? Be careful.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what it's like not going to school with my twin sister, I guess.
Yeah.
Me and Maya went to the same school all of our lives. Um, so I guess, yeah, I don't know. We don't have all our classes together or anything
Mhm.
like that. But it is nice definitely having that support at school, you know, that you can talk through different assignments, just talk through things that are happening around USC with,
Mhm.
um, yeah, definitely having friends, having a family close by is awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely made, I think, the out of state experience and having our family be like a 4 hour plane ride. It's made that a little bit easier for sure. It is definitely interesting, I think, as well being in industrial and systems engineering because it's one of those smaller majors at Viterbi. So our classes are probably 25 to 30 people. So I feel like it's pretty obvious that we're related with the same last name that is like 14 letters long. But it was
Hmm.
funny. One of our professors, Professor Yaldakashe, the other day in class said, like, she just realized that we were twins, I think, like a week ago. She's like, I've had both of you guys in class for the last like 3 years. Like, this is crazy. I never put
Yeah,
together. Yeah.
yeah,
I also
that's
like,
funny.
yeah, I think we're an interesting example of um like two people doing very different things with the same major. Like we have completely different involvements and completely, I guess, different career trajectories and just like things that we're interested in, but like it all works within the realm of one specific major, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, there's so many different opportunities, especially in engineering. I think if you just end up in the Viterbi school, I think you're pretty set for whatever direction you want to go.
Yeah, completely agree. All right. Let's see. Is there anything else you want to talk about on the podcast? Are there any, yeah, interesting things you want to share, chat about?
Things I want to talk about on the podcast. I don't know. I think we covered a lot. Covered most of my involvement, things I'm interested in.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you for taking the time to chat with me today. And yeah, for all of you listeners, I hope you enjoyed meeting my twin brother and my other half of me at USC.
Right on.
Bye, Don. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Paul, I'm still thinking about the end, like going into the episode, twinning ISE at USC. That
Twinning ISE at USC on the
that
spot. Came up with it right then.
on the spot. That'll have to be some part of the episode description or the
I think so.
title.
I think we just
Um,
titled it right there.
yeah, but it was very exciting for me to have Charlie on the podcast, like a very full circle moment talking about, yeah,
Do,
what he's been involved in and stuff.
do you guys ever wonder what would have happened if you went to different schools?
Sometimes, though we did mention it. I actually asked her like, "Oh, what is it like going to school with your twin sister?"
Right. But you've
And
always gone to school with your twin brother.
yes, that was the answer. Like, I don't know what it's like to not go to school
Right.
with my twin sister. I thought about it a little bit because I know some people at USC who are twins, where their twin goes to a different school. I don't know. I think I would probably go visit him at his school. I think we'd definitely be different people if we weren't at USC though. Like for either one of us, I think like the me I am at Viterbi would be
Yeah.
different at a different school.
Really? What's he doing next year?
He has one extra semester of his progressive degree program.
Hmm.
So this summer he is working and this is very recent. This is like as of a couple days ago.
Mm.
He like signed this offer and figured this out. He's working as a data science intern for National Grid Renewables, which is like a renewable
Hmm.
energy company.
Hmm.
So he is very excited. He actually came in as an environmental engineer. So this really is a kind of full circle moment for him as well. Like he's doing the skills and like the type of engineering that he likes, but he's working in a field that he's always been really interested in.
That's great. And where is that located?
It's in Bloomington, Minnesota. Well, I think it might be
Oh,
remote for the summer, but my mom is very excited. It'll
closer
be
to home.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
super
especially
close.
because you're not going. You're not going
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, I guess yeah,
They lost you to the West Coast.
she's a little sad, but my little sister's excited because my little sister will be in college for another 3 years in San Diego.
Okay.
So this is kind of like best case scenario for her if I'm not in San Diego.
And remind me, what school is your sister at?
USD.
USD. That's right.
Yeah, University of San Diego.
Jesuit school, right?
Hmm.
How does she like it there?
She loves it. Yeah, she's definitely found her people. She just joined a sorority, so now she's meeting a bunch more people. I think the school is the right size for her, and she goes to the beach like every day, like at
Yeah.
least twice a week, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So she's living the life.
That's awesome. Because is that in what city is that in?
It's in
Palomar?
it's in San Diego. It's by Pacific Beach, like just a
Pacific
little
Beach.
like
Oh, that's
inland of that.
awesome. Small little town, that little beach town right there.
Hmm.
Um, that's awesome. Great breakfast burritos right there on the beach next to
Mm,
the pier. Because isn't the pier the one with the pier with the hotel on the pier?
maybe. Can't say I'm too familiar, but
Okay,
it's
I could be
all
wrong.
cool.
I could be wrong. As usual, all I ever think about when a location is like, oh, where would I eat there? And I'm trying to remember what I've eaten at these different places. And of course, that's the first thing I do. Very cool. Is USD, if I remember correctly, USD, my sister went to USF, so University of San Francisco, which is
Mm,
the other kind of Jesuit school.
hmm.
But if I remember correctly, USD, they have curfews, right? On their dorms, or did that
I
go away?
I'm not sure. Based on my conversations with her, I don't think they have curfews, but I'm not entirely sure.
Based on things we won't talk about on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. If she does have a curfew, I have not heard of it. So
I don't know. That could have just been a
yeah.
rumor. And
Yeah. I don't
I
know.
feel bad if I'm now spreading that around.
No. I think about it and I'm like, if there was a curfew, I bet my sister would be complaining about it. So I'm
Got it.
guessing they don't have a curfew because I haven't heard
Got
any
it.
complaints.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Cool. All right. Well, something we probably should talk about offline, but I'll say it here. I am working on trying to get some other highlighted interviews onto the podcast
Oh.
soon. But my schedule has been unforgiving, as I've
Hmm.
complained about at length on the podcast. And it's just, I have people that I think are teed up, ready to go. I just don't have any
Hmm.
availability. So once I get them going, I think I'll have at least two in the near future for you that
Okay.
might be coming up soon. So hopefully that will help
Perfect.
with changing some content out. I also want to tell you that in the VSA interviews I've been doing lately,
Hmm.
so many people talk about the podcast and
Really?
how it helped them get through their college decision process and how it made a huge one. And I wanted to give a very specific shout out to you. And we have to see if we can go find it because I think it's one of your episodes, which is about what it was like to come to college from out of state.
Mm,
I don't know. Did you make that one?
maybe. I might have been the host for that episode as well.
Right, right. But that sounds familiar, right? That's in your tenure as producer.
I think so. I think so. Or
I
like
think it is.
my tenure as producer or as somebody on the team, I'm
Or you
sure.
contributed to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was brought up specifically by one of our current students who said, like, this, my mom was going through the podcast and she found this one episode on what it was like and adjusting to college and coming from out of state. And once I heard that, I was like, oh, I get it. Okay, no, wow, that's a lot how I would feel. And oh, look, they're fine too. And so just a shout out to everyone on our team who does these podcasts and how it makes a legitimate difference, a specific topic at a specific time, hitting a specific person and how
Mhm.
they identify. It's exactly what we talk about all the time. Like we could put out 10 episodes, but it's just about that one hitting that one person. And
Mhm.
that's ultimately what we do. It's just really cool. So kudos to everything that you and the rest of the students do in putting this together. I also I took a little bit of offense at something where another kid came to me and goes, "Oh yeah, no, I listened to Maya's podcast." I'm like, "Maya's podcast?"
Who who oh
I'm
funny.
like, "Huh, cool, okay,
So somebody I'm
sure."
friends with.
And I'm like,
Oh.
you realize I'm interviewing you right now, right? Like you realize the fate of your little world is in my hands. But sure, it's Maya's podcast. Yeah,
That's funny. That's funny.
and I think later the comment was, "Oh, I think you're on it every once in a while too, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, every once in a while."
Yeah, you're like, have you actually listened to the podcast? Oh, that's funny. Yeah,
Granted,
everyone's
I'll never claim it as my own. It's not mine, but they thought it was a
Mhm.
funny. I mean, you get
Mhm.
what I'm getting at. I don't want
Yeah,
people to think, yeah.
you're the perennial, like always present part of this podcast, which is yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry they took that from you, Paul. I'm
It was just kind of funny. I was like, huh, Maya's podcast. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
that's we're going through a rebranding next year.
Maya's Viterbi Voices.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Anyway,
no, Yeah. Co-host 1, co-host 2. I'll introduce the episode in the future.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Just I'm basically, yeah, that's what I've learned. I am completely unnecessary. This is the
Oh,
extraneous part of the podcast. I
that's funny. But
apologize.
yeah, great to hear that sort of feedback about the podcast because
It's huge.
yeah, it's proof we are not talking into a void.
No.
There are people other than us on this podcast.
Yes. It's making a difference. People are listening. They're having a good time. They're enjoying absorbing the content, and it's really, really cool. So it's been exciting on talking to some of our current students who are wanting to be part of the VSA team. So that's good.
Sweet.
Anyway, that I think probably wraps us up. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, that about covers it for me.
Okay. Well, to everyone out there, thanks for listening. If you got this far, if you didn't, you don't care what I said anyways. But anyways, have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next week with another episode of Viterbi Voices. Bye.